everyone to WienerWorldwide. This episode is for all you Bearcats out there. That's right, today we're doing the Cincinnati Coney dog. The Cincinnati Coney is topped with that famous Cincinnati chili and topped with a mountain of cheddar cheese. So, without further ado, let's head right to the kitchen and make this hot dog. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get our spice blend ready for our chili. In this small bowl, I have 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, a half a teaspoon of ground allspice, a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and a half a teaspoon of black pepper. You can then set that aside and get ready to chop the only ingredients you need to chop up for this. That being 1 onion and 2 cloves of garlic finely minced. I've been using a lot of onions on this show as of late. My eyes can really use the break. Maybe I should try something without onions next time. Anyway, once those are chopped up, you can get our wet ingredients ready. I have here 1 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1 tablespoon of yellow mustard, a teaspoon of cider vinegar, and 2 cups of water. Now I know some of these ingredients may seem foreign for a lot of American chili recipes, but this is how they do things down in Cincinnati. Once you've got everything nice and mixed up, you can set that aside and we can get ready to make our chili. In a large Dutch oven, I'm going to throw in 1 tablespoon of lard and get that nice and brown before I add my onions in. Now the most traditional thing for Cincinnati chili is to use 1 tablespoon of lard, but I didn't have any lard on hand, so I'm going to use butter here. I'm sorry, Cincinnati. Once the butter is all melted, you can add in the onion and stir that around until they get nice and translucent. Try not to get too much color on the onions here. Overcooking the onions here can actually ruin the taste of the chili later, so we want to make sure we just get a light color on them just until they turn translucent. Once the onions are nice and translucent, we can add in our spice mixture as well as our minced garlic from earlier. Now depending on how much garlic flavor you like will depend on when you add the garlic. I'm adding my garlic here because I like more garlic flavor in my chili, but if you like less garlic flavor, add it in when you add the onions. Keep mixing the mixture until every nook and cranny of those onions is covered in our spice blend. Also, don't worry if you're scared to burn the bottom of the pot at this point, because now it's time to add the wet ingredients back in. To the pot, we're going to add in what looks like our Bloody Mary mixture, but it's actually our chili base. I wonder if that can be a thing. A chili-based Bloody Mary mixture with all the flavors in chili, but in a Bloody Mary. Alright, we're getting a little bit weird right now. Once the tomato mixture has been added in, we can stir everything up together, get any fond at the bottom of the pot off, and then bring this to a low simmer. Now you might be wondering at this step, wait a minute, where's the beef in all of this? Aren't you supposed to brown the beef when you make chili? Well, in Cincinnati, they actually don't brown the beef first, they add it directly to the simmering liquid. So once it's started simmering, you can add in their beef. You want to try and break it up as much as you can with your hands as well. You want to try to have the meat as loose as possible, because this is a hot dog topping after all. We don't want big chunks of chili on our hot dog. Once all the beef has been added, you can give it another good mixing, and then let it come up to a simmer. Make sure not to boil it either. We want a low simmer. We want it to sit for a while and let all those flavors really become pronounced. Once the chili's on a simmer, we can cover it and then let it sit for 1 hour. And hey, since we got time, let's go over the history of the Cincinnati hot dog. The famous Cincinnati chili was invented sometime between 1921 and 1922 when 2 ethnic Macedonians, Tom and John Karadzijev, migrated over from Macedonia to avoid the Balkan Wars in 1921. In America, they opened up their own hot dog stand called Impress, which was named after the burlesque theater that was located right next door. It was at this stand where they came up with a recipe for a stew that contained a lot of Mediterranean spices as a hot dog topping. The stew eventually became modified into a sauce and then became a topping to spaghetti, which we all know and love today. But it was that original Mediterranean stew on top of a hot dog that really kickstarted the whole Cincinnati chili craze, and eventually created a whole chili empire with restaurants such as Skyline and Gold Star. It's really interesting to see how a lot of these recipes, which many believe are very Americanized, are actually recipes that were adapted from immigrants from other countries. So thank you to all those immigrants that make these hot dog recipes possible today. Okay, let's go check on our chili so we can finally finish making our coney. After an hour and your house smells like amazing chili, you can remove the lid and then take in all those amazing flavors that the chili has now produced. Now you can let this simmer a little bit longer if you want to get a little bit thicker, but I like mine in the consistency that it's at right now. I'm going to give it one last stir, and now it's finally time to start building our Cincinnati Coney dog. Now to top these dogs is super easy. We're going to ladle on our Cincinnati chili, And then we're gonna top it with a mountain of cheddar cheese. And in case anyone ever asked you, there's never not enough cheese on this hot dog. Yeah, I think I'm still gonna need more than that. Maybe a little bit more than that. Okay, now that's perfect. Alright everyone, today we made the Cincinnati Coney dog. Now I've actually had one of these in Cincinnati before, and if I remember correctly, the chili had a little bit, you can really taste that cinnamon that was in there, gave it a little bit of a sweet undertone. So I'm going to see how I did against that one. So let's take a look. So the first difference that I see is that when I was in Cincinnati, they didn't freshly grate the cheese, and using that freshly grated cheese really makes a difference here. Plus, they didn't have a natural casing dog, and the natural casing hot dog really takes this one to the next level. The chili tastes almost identical to the one I had in Cincinnati, so I'm really excited that this came out that way. Alright, that's gonna wrap up today's episode. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment any future suggestions. Until next time, I'll see you on the next episode of Wiener Worldwide.